My brother Julian pointed at my hoodie and yelled, "Did you come as a broke loser?" His girlfriend and my parents laughed. I waited. When the DJ passed me the mic, I smiled and ended his entire fake life in front of everyone. This is where the story truly begins, and you won't want to miss what happens. Make sure you're subscribed to see it through to the end. We're always curious. Where in the world are you all watching from today? Let us know in the comments. The vibration of my phone on the conference table was the only thing that cut through the fog of exhaustion. For 72 hours, I hadn't slept. I'd been running on caffeine and the adrenaline of a server migration that had threatened to cripple my entire company. I was sitting in my office, which was really just a glorified closet with a good internet connection, staring at a screen of green success readouts. My hair was piled in a messy, greasy bun. I was wearing the same faded university hoodie and worn-out jeans I'd had on for 2 days. I was, by all accounts, a wreck. The call was from my mother, Sarah. I almost let it go to voicemail, but a familiar pang of guilt made me swipe to answer. "Aaron, darling, thank goodness, are you ever coming?" Her voice was bright but brittle like thin ice. "Mom, coming where? I just finished the launch." "The party, Aaron, the Halloween party. It's been on the calendar for months. Your brother and Megan are already here. Everyone is asking where you are." My stomach dropped. I had completely forgotten. My parents' annual Halloween party was less a celebration and more a command performance, a showcase for my father, Charles, to impress his business partners, and for my mother to show off her perfect son, Julian. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm exhausted. The launch was brutal. Can I just sit this one out? I look terrible." "Don't be ridiculous," she snapped, the brightness gone. "You always do this. You always make things difficult. Your brother went to so much trouble to get a fantastic costume. The least you can do is show up and support him. Just put on some lipstick and get here, and try to look presentable for my sake." The line clicked dead before I could argue. I stared at the phone, a familiar, cold ache spreading through my chest. It was always about Julian, always about supporting him. I had just closed a deal that secured my company's future for the next decade, a deal worth more than my parents' house, and all she cared about was me looking presentable for a costume party. I sighed, rubbing my temples. I was too tired to fight, too tired to find a costume, and definitely too tired to drive. I looked down at my clothes. This will have to do, I thought grimly. I splashed water on my face, grabbed my keys, and headed out into the cool October night. When I arrived, the party was in full swing. Music spilled out onto the manicured lawn. The house I grew up in was ablaze with orange and purple lights. I slipped in through the side door, hoping to just make an appearance and leave. But Julian, dressed in a ridiculously over-the-top billionaire playboy costume, complete with a shiny, fake-looking gold watch, spotted me instantly. He was standing in the center of the living room with his girlfriend, Megan, who was poured into a skin-tight, sexy cat outfit. A hush fell over the room as he pointed a finger directly at me. "Well, look what the cat dragged in," Julian boomed, his voice slurring slightly from the champagne. "Nice costume, Aaron." He stepped closer, a cruel smirk on his face. He leaned in, loud enough for all 30 guests to hear. "Tell me, did you come as a broke loser?" Megan shrieked with laughter, a high-pitched, awful sound. "Oh my God, Julian, that's perfect. It's so authentic." I froze. Every eye in the room was on me. I looked at my parents, Charles and Sarah, who were standing by the fireplace. My mother just sipped her wine, her painted-on smile tight. My father chuckled and looked away as if embarrassed by me. Not a single person defended me. In that moment, something inside me, something I had been holding onto for decades, a desperate, childish hope that they would one day see me, finally, irrevocably broke. I stayed quiet, my face burning. I just absorbed the humiliation, the laughter, the pitying stares. Julian, sensing his victory, just laughed again. Seriously, sis, you could have at least tried, but I guess this is the best you can do. He turned his back on me, grabbing another glass of champagne. The music swelled again, the moment passing for everyone but me. I stood there, invisible and raw, the smell of burnt-out servers still clinging to my hoodie. The betrayal was worse than the exhaustion. The rest of the night was a blur of humiliation. I retreated to a dark corner of the patio, nursing a glass of water, my mind buzzing. Every time I made eye contact with a guest, they would quickly look away, some with pity, others with a faint Miro. Red contempt. I was the family failure, the cautionary tale, the broke loser in the hoodie. The fact that my hoodie had my own company's logo on it, a company I had built from nothing, was an irony lost on everyone. My mother eventually drifted over, her smile strained. "Aaron, you're moping. You're bringing down the mood. Go mingle. Go congratulate your brother on his new brand deal." His brand deal. Mom, he's just reposting ads for a teeth whitening kit. "It's a start, Aaron," she said sharply. "He's building an image, something you clearly don't understand. Just look at you. It's embarrassing, after all we've done for you." All you've done for me? The words were so absurd I almost laughed. I paid for the new roof over her head. I paid for my father's country club membership. And I paid, oh, how I paid for Julian. I left without saying goodbye. The drive home to my modest two-bedroom apartment was long. The adrenaline from the launch had faded, leaving behind a hollow, aching void. I sat in my car in the dark parking garage for a long time. The humiliation was a physical weight. They forgot one crucial thing, I thought, the phrase circling in my mind. They always forget. The next day, my phone rang. It was Julian. I stared at his name, my thumb hovering over the decline button. I hadn't slept, and the anger from the night before had cooled into a hard, dense stone in my stomach. I answered. "Hey," I said, my voice flat. "Aaron, hey, so listen," he started, his voice disgustingly cheerful. "That new BMW I'm getting, the M4, the dealer called. They need the final down payment wired by tomorrow, or they're giving it to someone else. It's only like 10 grand. Can you handle that?" I was silent, not "can you lend me," but "can you handle that?" As if I were his personal assistant, as if the $80,000 car was just another item on my to-do list. "Aaron, did you hear me? It's kind of urgent. Megan and I want to take it to Vegas this weekend." "Where are you, Julian?" "What? I'm at the apartment. Why?" "At my apartment, you mean?" A beat of silence. "What are you talking about? This is my place." "No, Julian, it's my place. The lease for that two-bedroom luxury penthouse is in my name. The rent is paid directly from my account, an account you don't have access to." He laughed, but it was a nervous, brittle sound. "Wow, sis, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It's in your name for, like, tax stuff. You told me that. It's a write-off for your little computer company." My little computer company just signed a contract that makes it worth 9 figures, Julian. And no, it's not a write-off. It's a liability I've been covering for you for 3 years. Whoa, okay, relax, he said, his voice turning petulant. What is this about? Is this because of my joke last night? God, you're so sensitive. It was a party. I was just kidding around. Now about the car. There is no car, Julian. What do you mean there is no car? I already ordered it. It's sapphire blue. I'm not paying for it. The Bank of Aaron is closed. The line went utterly silent. I could hear his breathing, shallow and fast. He was processing. For the first time, a crack had appeared in his perfect, golden boy facade. You can't do that, he finally stammered. I can, I said, and the hardness in my own voice surprised me. And I am. Mom and Dad will be. They'll be furious. Let them be, I'm done. I hung up. My hand was trembling, but not from fear. It was from a strange, cold, powerful sense of release. I sat there as my phone immediately began to light up again. Julian, then Julian again, then Megan, then my mother. I ignored them all. I let the calls go to voicemail, one after another, a chorus of rising panic. I stood up and walked to my home office. I opened my laptop and pulled up a file named Julian's Ledger. It was a spreadsheet I had meticulously maintained for 5 years, detailing every single expense. The rent, the car insurance, the credit card bills I paid off, the investment money for his failed influencer startups, the designer clothes, the dinners, the vacations. It was all there, every penny. They always forget, I thought again, a grim smile touching my lips. They forgot who holds the purse strings. My family operates on a simple, unspoken rule. Julian is the sun, and the rest of us are minor planets who exist to orbit him. He was the charming one, the handsome one, the one who had potential. I was the quiet, nerdy, difficult one. When he wanted to be an actor, my parents paid for his headshots. When I won a statewide coding competition, my father told me to get some fresh air. So, when Julian graduated from college with a communications degree and no job prospects, he simply declared he was going to be a social media personality. My parents, Charles and Sarah, thought this was brilliant. They co-signed a lease on a ludicrously expensive apartment. NT for him, bought him a car, and gave him an allowance. The problem started 2 years later when my father's investment soured. Suddenly, the money dried up. My parents were panicked, not for their own retirement, but for Julian. He can't lose the apartment, Aaron, my mother had cried to me over the phone. It will ruin his image. He's this close to a major brand deal. At the time, my app had just been acquired in a medium-sized deal. I wasn't famous, but I was suddenly, quietly, very wealthy. I was also weak. I couldn't stand to see my parents so distressed, and deep down, I still craved their approval. So I made a proposal. I would create a trust. I would manage it. It would pay for Julian's business expenses, his rent, his car, his lifestyle, under the guise of a family investment. My parents eagerly agreed, relieved to have the burden off their shoulders. I made them sign a contract stating I had full, sole discretion over the funds. They signed it without even reading it. That was 5 years ago. In that time, Julian's career had gone nowhere, but his spending had exploded. And I, his silent benefactor, had become his favorite target. My modest apartment, my simple car, my lack of designer labels, all proof that I was the failed, jealous, broke older sister. And my parents, comfortable again, were happy to play along. Then, about a year ago, Julian brought Megan home. Megan was everything my family valued. She was beautiful in a sharp, artificial way, with perfect hair and a wardrobe that cost more than my mortgage. She called herself a brand ambassador. which seemed to mean she took photos of herself in gifted bikinis. From the moment she met me, she treated me with a sugary disdain that was sharper than any knife. "Oh, Aaron, it's so sweet you're still working on those little computer thingies," she'd said at our first family dinner, patting my hand. "You must be so proud. Julian, darling, did you tell her about our trip to Ibiza?" She was the gasoline on Julian's fire. She encouraged his arrogance, his spending, his cruelty. I knew, from digging into the credit card bills I paid, that she was the one pushing for the new BMW, the one who insisted on flying first class. I also had a deep, nagging suspicion about her. She was too polished, her backstory too vague. She claimed to come from old money in New York, but something about her felt hollow. After I hung up on Julian, the next call was from my father. I let it ring, then my mother. I let that ring too. Then, an hour later, a text from Megan. "Hey, Aaron, Julian is really upset. Not cool what you did. You're just jealous he's successful and you're not. You should really apologize. And while you're at it, can you send the wire for the car? We have plans." My fingers flew across the screen. "The only thing I'll be sending is a final notice for the apartment. You and Julian have 30 days to vacate." The response was instantaneous. "You can't be serious. You're a psycho. Julian is calling a lawyer." I laughed. "Please do. I'll send him a copy of the trust agreement. The one my parents signed. The one that gives me sole authority. Have a great day, Megan." I turned my phone off. The silence in my apartment was wonderful. I knew this was far from over, but the first shot had been fired, and it had been mine. The old Aaron would have caved. The old Aaron would have already wired the money just to keep the peace. But the old Aaron had died last night at the party, standing in a corner in a hoodie, being laughed at by the very people she was bankrolling. The new Aaron, she was just getting started, and she knew exactly what to do next. They always forget, I thought, pulling my laptop closer, who built the house of cards. The silence from my family lasted exactly 24 hours. It was a tense, heavy quiet, like the air before a thunderstorm. I spent that day not moping, but mobilizing. The humiliation at the party hadn't just broken me, it had forged me into something new, something sharp. I was no longer a victim. I was a strategist. My clever trap wasn't some elaborate scheme. It was the truth and the meticulous records I had kept for years. My leverage was the simple fact that every luxury Julian and Megan flaunted was tethered to my bank account, and I was finally ready to cut the strings. My first call wasn't to a lawyer. It was to an old college friend, Ben, who now ran a high-end private investigation firm. "Ben," I said, pacing my living room, "I have a job for you. I need a deep-dive background check on a woman named Megan. Last name is unknown, or at least the one she's using is probably fake. She's dating my brother." "Aaron, wow, it's been a while." Ben's voice was warm. "A mystery woman, huh? This sounds juicy. What's the rush?" "The rush is that she's a grifter. Ben, I can feel it. She's pushing my brother to bleed me dry, and I'm about to cut them both off. I need to know what I'm dealing with. Check for aliases, credit history, any past, entanglements." "Consider it done," he said, his tone all business. "I'll need a photo and any details you have." I emailed him Megan's Instagram handle. "That should be enough to start," I said. "She's prolific." My next call was to my actual lawyer. I explained the situation regarding the trust. "It's ironclad, Aaron," she confirmed after reviewing the documents my parents had so carelessly signed. You have sole signatory authority. You can dissolve the disbursements at any time for any reason. They have no legal recourse. Good. Send a formal notice of eviction to the apartment. 30-day notice, by the book, and send a letter of intent to repossess the current BMW. The lease is in my company's name. He's in breach of our personal agreement. This is going to get messy, Aaron. It's already messy, I replied. I'm just cleaning it up. The storm broke that evening. A text from my father, Charles. Your mother is hysterical. Call me, now. I steeled myself and dialed. He picked up on the first ring. Aaron, what in the world is this? He boomed. You're evicting your brother. You're taking his car. Are you out of your mind? This is petty. This is because of a harmless joke at a party. It wasn't a joke, Dad. It was the final straw. For 20 years, you've all treated me like the family failure while I've been quietly paying all the bills. Julian's bills, your bills. That is an exaggeration, he sputtered. We were in a temporary bind. You offered to help, and Julian is on the verge of greatness. This is his image. This is his career. You can't just pull the rug out from under him. Watch me, I said, my voice cold. I am not your bank. I am not your safety net. And I am not your punching bag, not anymore. The eviction stands. The car is being repossessed. Tell Julian he has 30 days to get a job. You ungrateful. He was choking on his rage. After all we've done for you, we raised you. You raised me to be invisible, I shot back. And you raised him to be a leech. You made this bed, Dad. Now all of you get to lie in it. Goodbye. I hung up, my heart pounding. Saying those words felt like breaking a bone, painful but necessary. The spell was broken. 2 days later, Ben called. Aaron, you hit the jackpot, he said. Your Megan is quite the character. Real name is Megan Riley, from Ohio, and she definitely doesn't come from old money. Go on, I said, grabbing a pen. She has a history, a long one. She's a professional. She targets men she perceives as wealthy. Twice, she got engaged before being found out. She has 3 outstanding civil suits against her for fraud, all from men who claim she took loans and never paid them back. One of them claims she sold his car while he was on a business trip, but here's the kicker. You know that fancy Rolex she's always posting on Julian's wrist? I've seen it. I ran a check on a high-res photo from her Instagram. My guy confirmed it. It's a high-grade replica, a knockoff, a fake. I sat back, a slow, cold smile spreading across my face. A fake watch. Of course. Julian was so desperate to project an image of wealth that he was faking the details, and Megan was either in on it or hadn't noticed. Or, more likely, she knew and didn't care, as long as my money was real. But it gets better, Ben said. The new BMW M4 he's been bragging about, the one he's trying to get you to buy. What about it? He's been telling everyone it's a done deal. He's been telling Megan, but he's also been agging to his influencer friends. One of them is a client of mine. Julian told him he's paying for it with the advance from a huge crypto deal that's about to close. He doesn't have a crypto deal, I said flatly. He doesn't know what crypto is. Exactly. He's not just lying to you, Aaron. He's lying to everyone, especially his new girlfriend. He's built a house of cards on top of your house of cards. The pieces clicked into place. The humiliation at the party, the laughter, the broke loser costume. All of it was a performance, a desperate attempt by Julian to solidify his status and hide the truth. He was a fraud, terrified of being exposed. And he had used me, his reliable, invisible sister, as the final prop. Ben, I said, you're a lifesaver. Send me everything you have. The civil suits, the info on the watch, everything. You got it. Good luck, Aaron. Sounds like you're about to set off some fireworks. Oh, I said, looking at the Halloween party invitations still on my counter. I'm not just setting them off. I'm building a whole fireworks show. They forgot one crucial thing. They forgot I'm smarter than all of them. The first confrontation happened on my terms. After a week of ignoring increasingly hysterical calls, I sent a single text to Julian and Megan. Meet me at the apartment tomorrow at noon. We need to discuss the eviction. When I arrived, they were both there, sitting on the plush, dove-gray sofa I had paid for. Julian looked pale and angry. Megan, however, looked perfectly composed, her arms crossed, her expression one of pure, icy contempt. Well, look who it is, she sneered. Come to gloat, Aaron. Come to throw your own brother out on the street. I'm here to discuss a transition plan, Megan, I said calmly, setting my briefcase on the marble coffee table. I didn't sit. I stood, creating a clear dynamic of power. This is insane, Julian burst out, jumping to his feet. You're ruining my life, my career. Megan and I, we have plans. You can't just stop. I can, Julian, and I have. The trust is dissolved. But, my allowance is gone, I said. You're 29 years old. It's time you got a job, a real one. A job? Megan let out a sound of pure disgust. Like you have, tapping away at a computer in your sad little apartment? Julian is an artist. He's a brand. You're just jealous. Am I asked, turning my full attention to her. Jealous of what exactly? This apartment? It's mine. The car you drive, it's mine. The clothes on your back, the food in your fridge, I paid for all of it. What exactly have you contributed to this brand, Megan? Her eyes narrowed. I am his partner. I manage his image. You wouldn't understand. You have no image. You're right, I said. I don't. I have assets. And you, Megan, seem to have a real talent for attaching yourself to them. What is that supposed to mean? She snapped. I pulled a folder from my briefcase. It was the report from Ben. I didn't open it. I just tapped it. It means I know who you are, Megan Riley, from Ohio. I know about the loans you took from your last 3 boyfriends. I know about the civil suits for fraud. I know you're not old money any more than Julian is a successful influencer. The color drained from Megan's face. For the first time, her polished mask cracked. I saw a flicker of pure, animal panic in her eyes. You're lying, she stammered. You're crazy, Julian, she's crazy. Julian looked back and forth between us, completely lost. Aaron, what is this? What are you talking about? I'm talking about your girlfriend, Julian, I said, my voice soft but cutting. She's not with you because of your potential. She's with you because she thought you were rich, but you're not. You're just a parasite. And she's a parasite on a parasite. It's really quite poetic. How dare you? Megan shrieked, finding her voice. She lunged at me, her hands clawed. I didn't even flinch. I just stepped aside, and she stumbled, catching herself on the back of the sofa. Get out, I said, my voice dropping to an icy calm. You can't kick me out. This is Julian's apartment. It's my apartment, I repeated, and the lease is being terminated. But you're trespassing. Right now, get your things and go. Julian, she screamed, rounding on him. Are you going to let her talk to me like that? Do something. Julian just stood there, his mouth open, looking like a fish. He was terrified. He had never seen me like this. He had never seen anyone stand up to Megan. "You're pathetic," Megan spat at him. "Both of you." She grabbed her designer purse, which I had also paid for, and stormed toward the door. "This isn't over, you witch," she yelled back at me. "You'll regret this." The door slammed shut. The silence that followed was heavy and absolute. Julian sank onto the sofa, putting his head in his hands. "What did you do, Aaron?" he whispered. She'll leave me." She was never with you, Julian. She was with the lifestyle I gave you. "But the things you said about her, is that true?" "Every word," I said. I tossed the folder onto the coffee table in front of him. "Read it yourself. She's a con artist, and you were her mark." He didn't touch the folder. He just sat there, staring at the floor. He looked small, and for a fleeting second I felt a pang of pity, but I stamped it out. Pity was what had caused this mess. "You have 30 days, Julian," I said, walking to the door. "The eviction is real. The car gets picked up on Monday. Sell the stuff you have. Get a job. Grow up." "But where will I go?" he whispered, his voice cracking. I have nothing." "You can go to Mom and Dad's," I said. "I'm sure they'll be thrilled to have their golden boy back home." I left him there, alone in the silent, empty penthouse, the evidence of his girlfriend's fraud sitting right in front of him. I knew Megan would be back. She was a fighter. But I had just shattered her primary weapon, Julian's belief in his own lies, and I was just getting warmed up. Megan, as I predicted, did not go quietly. She was a cornered animal, and she came out fighting. The next day, my phone was bombarded with texts and voicemails, not just from her, but from numbers I didn't recognize. "You're a psycho witch, Aaron. You're going to pay for this. I'm going to sue you for slander and harassment. Julian is a star. You're just a jealous nothing. Wait until everyone finds out what you did." She took to social media, posting vague, passive-aggressive stories about toxic family members and jealous saboteurs trying to ruin her happiness. It was a desperate, sloppy attempt to control the narrative, but it backfired. Without my money funding their glamorous posts, her feed quickly became a stream of angry, mirror selfies from my parents' guest room. Julian, meanwhile, had fully retreated. He'd gone, as predicted, to our parents' house. He refused to speak to me. My parents, Charles and Sarah, had taken his side completely. I was now the family pariah, the cruel and unstable daughter who had betrayed them. They left me long, rambling voicemails, alternating between rage and pathetic pleading. "How could you do this to your brother, Aaron? He is devastated. Charles is so stressed his health is suffering. This is your fault. Just give him the apartment back, Aaron, and the car, and apologize to that lovely Megan. We can fix this. Just be the bigger person." They still didn't get it. They thought this was a tantrum. They didn't understand that this was a demolition. While they were busy with their amateur dramatics, I was building my case. Ben's report on Megan was just the start. I used my little computer company skills and did my own digging. I found the other men Megan had scammed. I reached out to one of them, a tech investor from San Francisco named David. He was hesitant to talk at first, but when I explained the situation, the floodgates opened. "She's a viper, Ms. Evans," he said, his voice tight with anger. "She didn't just take my money, she tried to ruin my reputation. She claimed I was harassing her. It was a nightmare. I spent $50,000 in legal fees just to get a restraining order. Would you be willing to provide a statement to that effect? I asked. I'd be willing to fly to your city and say it to her face, he replied. I now had irrefutable proof. I had the trust documents, I had the eviction notice, I had Ben's report, and I had a witness. The second confrontation was initiated by them. My parents called a family meeting at their house. I knew it was an ambush. I walked in and they were all there. Charles and Sarah, looking grim, and Julian and Megan, sitting side by side on the sofa, a poor attempt at a united front. Megan had a look of smug triumph. She clearly thought she had won. Aaron, thank you for coming, my father began in his most patronizing head-of-the-family voice. We are all very worried about you. This aggression is not like you. I'm not aggressive, Dad. I'm just solvent. Megan scoffed. Julian has told us everything about how you're obsessed with him, how you're trying to control his life. It's sad. Is it? I asked, turning to her. What's sad, Megan, is that you're still here. I thought a con artist of your caliber would have cut her losses by now. Julian has no money. This, I said, gesturing around the dated living room, is it, and they're in debt. We are not in debt, my father yelled. I've seen your credit report, Dad. Yes, you are. You're a liar, Megan shrieked, her mask slipping again. Julian is about to sign a massive crypto deal. He's more successful than you'll ever be. This was it, the moment I'd been waiting for. Ah, yes, the crypto deal, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. The one you've been telling everyone about, right, Julian? Julian went white. The deal that's paying for the new BMW M4. The one you've been lying to Megan about. Megan's head whipped around to face him. What? What is she talking about, Julian? The deal is real, you told me. He's been lying to you, Megan, I said, my voice cutting through the tension. There is no deal, there is no money, he's as broke as you are. But the Rolex, she stammered, grabbing his wrist. The watch is a fake, I said. A cheap knockoff from a website in China. Ben's report confirmed it. He's been lying to you about everything. The silence in the room was absolute. Megan stared at Julian, her face a mask of dawning, horrified comprehension. She wasn't just angry, she was humiliated. She, the master grifter, had been grifted. Julian, she whispered, is it fake? Julian couldn't speak. He just stared at his hands, his face burning red. That was all the confirmation she needed. Megan let out a sound that was half scream, half sob. You fraud, she shrieked, launching herself at him. You let me. You made me look like a fool. You have nothing. She began hitting him, her fists pummeled his chest. I wasted a year on you, a whole year. Stop her, do something, my mother screamed. My father and Julian tried to grab her, but she was a whirlwind of rage, grabbing Julian's, also fake, designer jacket and ripping it at the seam. It's over, she screamed, her voice cracking. It's all over, I'm ruined. In the midst of the chaos, I stood by the door, completely calm. I had presented the irrefutable proof. The spell was well and truly broken. Megan finally wrenched herself free, her hair a mess, her face streaked with mascara. She pointed a trembling finger at Julian. I hate you. Don't you ever contact me again. She grabbed her purse and fled, slamming the front door so hard a picture fell off the wall. My parents and Julian were left breathing heavily in the ruined living room. My mother turned to me, her face contorted with rage. This is your fault. You did this. You monster. I just told the truth, Mom, I said, opening the door. Something you all should try sometime. "Where are you going?" my father demanded. "I have a party to get to," I said. "It's Halloween after all, and I finally have the perfect costume." The annual Miller family Halloween bash was, for the first time in my life, something I was actually looking forward to. The party was being held at a rented-out catering hall, a desperate attempt by my parents to maintain their social standing after the Megan incident and the quiet repossession of Julian's BMW. They were TR. Ying to project an image of stability. They had no idea I was about to burn that image to the ground. I arrived late, on purpose. I was just as I had been at the last party, dressed in my costume, a faded university hoodie, worn jeans, and sneakers. I had my laptop bag slung over my shoulder. As I walked in, a ripple of whispers followed me. The guests, my parents' friends, their business partners, looked at me with a mixture of pity and confusion. They had all heard the rumors, that I was jealous, unstable, that I'd had a breakdown and attacked my brother's lovely girlfriend. My parents, Charles and Sarah, cornered me by the bar. My mother was dressed as Marie Antoinette. My father was a vampire. "Aaron," my mother hissed, her smile brittle. "What are you doing? You look homeless. After everything that's happened, you show up like this. You're trying to humiliate us." "I'm just wearing my work clothes, Mom," I said calmly. "Your brother is here," my father grumbled. "He's trying to have a good time. Don't you dare start anything. Do you understand me? Tonight, you are seen and not heard." "Understood," I said, giving him a small, empty smile. I saw Julian across the room. He was dressed in a cheap, off-the-rack gladiator costume. He was surrounded by a few of his sycophant friends, but he looked diminished, defeated. When he saw me, his face hardened, and he deliberately turned his back. The party dragged on. The music was loud, the food was bad. My parents flitted about, laughing too loudly, their eyes constantly darting to me, then to Julian, as if trying to keep two volatile chemicals from mixing. Around 10 p.m., the DJ, an old college buddy of Julian's, started a costume contest. This was my moment. I'd spoken to the DJ, an aspiring music producer named Leo, a few days earlier. I'd made him a simple offer. His studio's rent paid for 1 year in exchange for 5 minutes with the microphone. He'd happily agreed. As Leo was announcing the funniest costume, he paused. "And now, we've got a surprise announcement from someone very special. Give it up for the host's daughter, Erin Evans." A spotlight hit me. The music faded. The entire room turned to look at me, standing by the stage in my hoodie. My parents' faces were frozen in horror. Julian looked like he was going to be sick. Leo passed me the mic. I walked to the center of the stage, my heart hammering, but my voice, when I spoke, was perfectly clear and steady. "Hi, everyone. Thanks, Leo," I smiled. "I know, nice costume, right? I came as a broke loser. It's my brother Julian's favorite joke." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the crowd. Julian was bright red. "You all know me as Aaron," I continued. "The quiet one, the failure, the one who works on her little computer thingies. Meanwhile, you all know my brother Julian, the influencer, the successful one, the one with the penthouse, the BMW, the Rolex, the big crypto deal." I let the words hang in the air. "Well, I'm here tonight to clear up a few things, because I'm tired of the lies." "Aaron, stop," my mother shrieked from the floor. "Get off that stage." I ignored her. First, that Rolex Julian's been wearing for a year. I looked right at him. "It's fake. A $50 knockoff. He's been lying to all of you." A collective gasp went through the room. Julian looked like I had physically struck him. Second, the big crypto deal he's been using to promise his friends, and his ex-girlfriend Megan a big payday. It doesn't exist. It's another lie. That's enough, my father roared, pushing through the crowd. Security, get her off the stage. Third, I said, my voice rising over his, that luxury penthouse he lived in for 3 years, the one he hosted all his parties at, I paid for it, every single cent. And that BMW M Series he drove, it wasn't his. It was leased in my company's name. I paid for that too. The room was dead silent. Every guest was staring, transfixed. For 5 years, I said, my voice shaking just a little, I have been silently, single-handedly funding my brother's entire fake life. His clothes, his vacations, his dinners. I paid for all of it, while he and my parents mocked me for being a failure. They called me broke while cashing my checks. I looked at my parents, who were standing frozen, their faces ashen. So, to answer my brother's question from last month's party, I said, looking directly at Julian, who was shaking, no, I didn't come as a broke loser. I just came as me, the one who's been paying for everything. I turned to Julian. Oh, by the way, that Rolex is fake, that BMW is mine, and so is the lease you've been lying about. Enjoy the walk home, brother. I dropped the mic. The sound echoed through the silent hall with a satisfying thud. For a second, nobody moved. Then Julian just crumbled. He covered his face with his hands and let out a choked sob. He pushed through the stunned crowd and ran out the emerge. NCY exit. My mother, Sarah, let out a wail and ran after him. My father, Charles, just stood there, his vampire fangs looking ridiculous, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. He pointed a trembling finger at me. You are ruined, he whispered, loud enough for the front row to hear. I just smiled, a real genuine smile. No, Dad, I'm free. I walked off the stage, through the sea of whispering, shocked faces, and out the front door into the cool night air. I had never felt so light. The downfall was immediate and total. The Miller family's annual Halloween party became the stuff of local legend. By the next morning, everyone in my parents' social circle knew the truth. Charles, my father, had his credit lines called in by business partners who no longer trusted his financial stability. My mother, Sarah, was removed from the board of her favorite charity. They were socially and financially ruined, a humiliation from which they would never recover. Julian, as I heard from a cousin, stayed locked in his old childhood bedroom for weeks, refusing to see anyone. His influencer career was over. His friends had vanished. He was, for the first time in his life, exactly what he had always pretended not to be, a broke loser. As for me, I went back to work, but something was different. The crushing weight of my family's expectations and scorn was gone. I felt light. I took my entire team on a week-long retreat to Hawaii, a thank you for the brutal launch. I bought myself a new car, not a flashy one, just a safe, comfortable one that I paid for in cash. A month after the party, my lawyer contacted me. My parents were contesting the trust. They were suing me, claiming I had unduly influenced them and mismanaged funds. I countersued, not for money, but for the full amount I had spent on them over the years. The new roof, the country club membership, the vacations. I attached my meticulously kept ledgers as evidence. It was a bloodbath. When faced with the ironclad proof of their own financial dependency, they had no choice but to drop the suit. The final legal document was a settlement. I would not pursue them for their debts, and they would, in turn, never contact me for any reason, financial or otherwise, ever again. I signed it without a moment's hesitation. I also sent a copy of Ben's report and David's testimony about Megan to the State Attorney General's office. I don't know what came of it, but I felt a duty to prevent her from harming anyone else. The first holiday season without my family was strange. It was quiet. On Christmas Day, I volunteered at a shelter, serving food. It was there I ran into Leo, the DJ. He was volunteering too. "Aaron," he said, a warm smile on his face. "Crazy seeing you here." "Hey, Leo, thanks again for, Are you kidding?" He laughed. "That was the best night of my life. The studio is amazing, by the way. You really overpaid for that mic drop." "I don't think so," I said, smiling. "It was worth every penny." We talked for an hour. He was smart and funny and kind. He didn't know me as Julian's weird sister. He just knew me as Aaron. He asked me out for coffee. I said yes. It's been a year since that night. My company just opened a new, much larger office. I'm not hiding in a closet anymore. Leo and I are still together. My life is full and happy and completely, beautifully mine. I heard from my cousin that Julian finally got a job, an entry-level position at a rental car agency. My parents had to sell the house and move into a small condo. Sometimes I feel a pang of something, not guilt, but a sad, distant pity for the family I lost. But then I remember that they were never really my family at all. I was just their bank, and the bank is permanently closed. I found my peace, not in their approval, but in my own strength. I finally learned that the only person's respect I ever needed was my own.